Chapter 7 Part 1 Why is that guy coming this way? In his past life, the giant ogre, who could be considered the boss of this gate break, was heading west, the opposite direction of Taehyun, but was subdued by the A-rank player, An Hyun-soo. But why? Taehyun tilted his head in confusion. Even in this moment, the giant ogre continued to approach, smashing everything in its path. The problem was that its outer eye was precisely focused on Taehyun. That can't be possible. By now, countless players should have been dealing with monsters. It must be a coincidence that the boss-rank giant ogre spotted him. Thinking that, Taehyun hurriedly ran out of the alley. Ko! As if synchronized with Taehyun's movements, the giant ogre began to run towards him. Its agility was befitting of an A-rank, surprisingly swift for its size. With every step it took, something would shatter. He's not someone I can handle with stone skin. Taehyun's stone skin was of D rank. Even in a physical battle against a C rank monster like the ogre, it wouldn't hold up. If he were to be struck by the giant ogre's club, his stone skin wouldn't be able to endure the impact. On the other hand, he wanted to confirm if the upgraded predator at D rank could stand against an A rank monster. But there's a time and place for testing that. Avoiding the situation was the wise choice now. Coincidentally, someone blocked the rampaging giant ogre's path. You! Stop this destruction right now! A man wearing armor clearly above the normal rank shouted. You filthy beast! I'll carve you into pieces. The man, infuriated by the current situation, activated his skill. An Hyun-soo. He's finally here. An Hyun-soo, an A-rank player affiliated with the association, wielded a radiant sword. The childish name was due to the skill. Tot. As An Hyun-soo shouted, a bright sword materialized in his hand. It was the A-rank skill light sword, an evolved form of the D-rank skill weapon enhancement. When the extended light sword reached about 2 meters, he swiftly sliced through one of the giant ogre's arms. Kyuwon. With that, the arm in which the giant ogre held the club fell to the ground. The earth trembled once again. It's indeed a powerful skill. Taehyun savored the sight of the light sword. The basic effect of the light sword was its ability to ignore physical defense. In other words, regardless of how good the opponent's armor was, unless they had a corresponding skill or ability, defense was impossible. Despite being A-rank, An Hyun-soo's growth into a future star player was thanks to such skill effects. However, the giant ogre wasn't down for the count. When it let out a roar, the severed arm began to regenerate. As if declaring it wouldn't allow any more attacks, it picked up nearby objects and hurled them at An Hyun-soo. Kwajik! Dodging a car that fell right in front of him, Taehyun quickly stepped back. In the meantime, An Hyun-soo closed the distance and sliced through one of the ogre's legs. His movements were so swift that it elicited admiration. Kyuwon! The giant ogre, off balance and kneeling on one knee, was swiftly ascended by An Hyun-soo. Then, he sliced through the regenerating arm once again. Krah! The giant ogre let out a painful scream. He swung his hand, pushing An Hyun-soo away. An Hyun-soo swiftly moved back, zigzagging to evade the attack. Taehyun didn't miss a single moment of it. I see. Movements that were almost impossible to track with the eyes of an ordinary person were clear and precise to him. He could observe the motions of the upper and lower body muscles, anticipating the next move. The body stats he had gained as he progressed to D rank were allowing him to keep up with the movements of an A rank player. This unbelievable fact excited Taehyun. Will I be able to acquire such skills soon too? If he absorbed skills related to strength or speed, or if his rank increased, enhancing his physical abilities, he could obtain movements similar to An Hyun-soo's. However, Taehyun was a physical fighter who challenged his limits through effort. Once he had the opportunity, he planned to absorb buff-type skills, but there were essential skills that he needed to prioritize due to their cooldown periods. Currently, Taehyun possessed the skills Predator and Stone Skin. His unique skill, Predator, was growing along with his rank, meaning his stats would increase significantly even at the C rank level. For now, that was more than enough. I should start trying it out. In his mind, he wanted to bring popcorn and enjoy the show. As long as there weren't other pressing matters, that is. The overwhelming surge of monsters made it impossible for him to make a call. He could clearly imagine Jae-young struggling due to his impatience. In place of the souls that perished because of you, I shall be their judge. Leaving on Hyun-soo, who was engrossed in the battle and shouting cheesy lines, Taehyun moved his steps. Suddenly, he felt an unfamiliar energy nearby. The message popped into his mind belatedly. Skill usage detected. Taehyun had upgraded his status window, allowing him to detect minor skills or subtle movements targeted at him. All of this inspiration stemmed from his previous encounter with the troublemaker in the back alley. Instinctively, Taehyun moved his body sideways. Something swiftly passed by him. Then, with a loud thud, crew. An Hyun-soo, who was engrossed in the battle with the giant ogre, clutched his leg and hesitated, sitting down. In succession, the giant ogre's palm came down. An Hyun-soo rolled his body to evade the attack. Who's there? An Hyun-soo shouted, scanning his surroundings. He was looking for the entity that had injured him. His gaze momentarily met Taehyun's but quickly shifted elsewhere. Taehyun's gaze was fixed on a particular spot. Through the gap, an unfamiliar energy surged towards An Hyun-soo. Swish. The sound of something being cut echoed as An Hyun-soo swung his light sword. Reveal yourself. Once more, An Hyun-soo swung his sword. Swish. The sound was shallower than before, but it was enough to dispel the skill due to the consecutive impacts. Kook. You're not an easy opponent. SHHHH. Suddenly, a man revealed himself from a place where nothing had been before. He was a gloomy middle-aged man dressed entirely in black. His body was covered in blood, its source unknown. Taehyun's gaze changed as he observed the man. It was because he noticed a sparkling ring in the man's hand. 3 skulls made of gold. You finally showed up. A villain from the Malignant Guild. Chapter 7 Part 2 During the incident when the gate broke in his past life, the civilian casualties far exceeded the initially estimated numbers. It was due to a few villains who mingled among the civilians and committed massacres. You're a villain. An Hyun-soo, who realized too late that the guy was a villain, exclaimed. Contrary to his confidence, the situation was not in his favor. He couldn't move hastily against the giant ogre, who already considered him a target. Truly a rookie of the association. I should have aimed for your throat during the first surprise attack, said the man who watched him with a hint of regret. His dagger, cut off by a radiant sword, and blood flowing from his shoulder were evidence of their clash. Thud. Licking the blood streaming down his shoulder, he chuckled ominously. You insect-like creature. Wait right there. Once I deal with this guy, it will be your turn. Before he could finish his sentence, An Hyun-soo narrowly dodged the giant ogre's fist. The man sneered at his evasion. Whoa. It's impossible even for me to take on someone as prepared as you. His gaze shifted to Taehyun, who was getting up. I'd rather deal with that guy over there. Examining Taehyun's figure, the man drew a new dagger. Boy! Run away! An Hyun-soo shouted towards Taehyun, who had become the man's target. He realized he couldn't outrun the giant ogre with his injured leg, nor could he chase after the man. In other words, Taehyun had to escape from the villain using his own strength. Having assessed the situation, Taehyun dashed away without a word. He. Stay here and play with that monster. Hero of justice, my ass. Mocking An Hyun-soo, who was struggling against the giant ogre, the man chased after Taehyun. On his way, he cut down numerous civilians without hesitation. His skill was stealth. The young man, fleeing with all his might right before his eyes, would also become his prey. However, the fact that Taehyun's lips were curved upwards as he ran, the man didn't know. **** Underground shopping mall near Gwangjin District Office. Seriously. Not even a phone call. Jae-young bit his fingernails anxiously. It had already been 10 minutes since the promised time to meet Taehyun. The person who promised to contact him again hadn't called or texted. The signal is there but... Belatedly, he turned off her phone, which had signal but no notifications. A woman caught Jaeyoung's eye. Choi Nayoung, a teacher from Jeongkook High School, who had been kidnapped at Taehyun's instruction. She was sound asleep on the couch, oblivious to the world. The players will be dispatched first whenever something happens at the district office. I'll wait here. Where did he get the key? Taehyun's face, as he casually handed her the key, crossed her mind. How did he know that a gate break would occur? Gate breaks hadn't happened for almost a decade, and even if the association tried to predict them, there was no way to do so. The situation was dire, with people running for shelter as soon as the break occurred. This time, the scale of the break was extraordinary. If Taehyun hadn't warned them in advance, he might have fled to a shelter himself. Outside was pure chaos. Should I run away now? The woman on the couch and his cell phone. Jaeyoung contemplated, alternating his gaze between the two items. The contemplation didn't last long. Kim Taehyun. His cousin, whom he had dismissed as a loser incapable of awakening just a week ago. And yet, overnight, he had become someone else entirely. Gulp. The image of the three awakened individuals from the backcross flashed in his mind. A shiver ran down his spine. Oh. Please come quickly. Taehyun. While the monsters rampaging outside were terrifying, Jaeyoung's fear of Taehyun was even greater. Meanwhile, the place Taehyun had arrived, the one Jaeyoung was desperately looking for, was an empty building near Gwangjin district office. There was no sign of any human presence, perhaps swept away by the monsters. Hey, kid. Did everyone run away? You're quite fast on your feet. SSSHH, seeing Taehyun come to a halt, the man belatedly released his skill. There was no one inside the building, and no visible CCTV cameras. There was no need to maintain a skill that consumed magical power, especially against a teenager. Try begging for your life. The man chuckled menacingly. Desire welled up within him. He wanted to see the little brat in front of him begging for his life, crying and pleading. But the response was unexpected. Does the skill apply to the objects you're holding as well? Taehyun said, scanning the man. What? B-rank villain. Han Sang-do. I've been waiting for someone like you. He spoke as if it was not a big deal, and Taehyun loosened up his body. You. Are you a player? The man, B-rank villain Han Sang-do, exuded vitality. Even an ordinary B-rank player would have a strong aura that could make people flinch, but Taehyun, seemingly unfazed, just finished his stretch. Find out for yourself. With a thud. With a casual remark, Stone Skin was activated. Chapter 8 Part 1 Ugh. A fist, enhanced with Stone Skin, struck empty air. There was a dull thud, followed by a low groan. Ugh. With a whimper, Han Sang-do's skill was deactivated, revealing his presence. However, he still clutched a dagger in his hand, aimed at Taehyun's throat. Slash. It made an unbelievably sharp sound as if a throat had been cut. Han Sang-do's face contorted in frustration. That damned kid. It had been 5 minutes since their battle began, and Han Sang-do no longer saw the young boy in front of him as an ordinary kid. However, he wasn't at the level of a named player either. The boy's skills were at least of a C-rank player, perhaps approaching a B-rank at best. On the other hand, Han Sang-do was a named player who had faced off against B-rank players. Excluding An Hyun-soo in the vicinity, there was hardly anyone else who could challenge him. Yet. Thunk. Taehyun interrupted Han Sang-do's attempt to use his skill with a body slam. Han Sang-do was sent flying backward as the skill was cancelled. You bastard. Han Sang-do cursed, clutching his throbbing arm. His strength stat was close to 30, but even his well-guarded arm was in considerable pain. That bastard. Of all things, he had to use a physical enhancement skill. Han Sang-do's stats were primarily focused on speed. Utilizing the stealth skill for hit-and-run tactics was Han Sang-do's source of confidence, even though he was a B-rank player. Of course, his ambush didn't go as smoothly as he'd hoped due to Han Hyunsu's exceptional situational awareness. However, the fact that he had successfully executed his initial attack already placed him ahead of your typical B-rank player. But the kid in front of him, who had no special skills, maintained his poker face consistently and withstood Han Sang-do's attacks. He's not particularly fast, Han Sang-do thought, but his timing when he strikes is what's bothering me. Han Sang-do caught up to Taehyun from behind and thrust his dagger into his back. Kang! Taehyun winced as he swung his arm widely to fend off the attack. Whoosh! Though the dagger didn't plunge deeply, Taehyun could feel the sensation at his fingertips. Swish! As Han Sang-do withdrew the knife, Taehyun moved back. Taehyun frowned and reached for his back. The wound wasn't deep, but blood was trickling. Heh, I see the weakness of that pitiful skill now. You can't block the same spot twice, can you? Silencing his confidence in his grip on the situation, Han Sang-do wiped the blood off his dagger. Up until now, he had struggled with Taehyun's skill that exploited his skill's nature and shaved flesh off his bones. But your luck ends here. Finally discovering a solution, Han Sang-do pulled out another dagger. Taehyun's face, which had been confident in relying on stone skin for melee combat, subtly changed. Heh. Kiddo, how should I cook you? Han Sang-do rushed in, slashing Taehyun's side twice before swiftly passing by. Taehyun smirked as he saw the blood trickling down. I can't believe stone skin has such a weakness, he thought. Even facing a C-rank monster, he hadn't discovered any significant flaws. That's why he had boldly attempted melee combat against Han Sang-do, curious about how much stronger he had become as a D-rank player. I guess named players are different, he mused, letting out a small chuckle while observing Han Sang-do's confident demeanor. B-rank monster Han Sang-do, a member of the Malignant Guild, known for hunting both players and civilians. Despite his reputation, he remained elusive due to the influence of his skill, stealth. The skill had been honed to the extreme through countless murders, making it incredibly difficult for ordinary players to detect him. And if he manages to surprise his target, the effect is even greater. Taehyun had observed how Han Hyunsu's mobility had been compromised after the first surprise attack. His eyes glinted unexpectedly, he had found a skill he wanted. Hey, kid, did you forget how to speak because you were too scared? Han Sang-do regained his composure and stuck out his tongue mockingly. As if that would happen. Taehyun's lips curled upwards, mocking Han Sang-do's overconfident attitude. Discovering Stone Skin's weakness was actually a fortunate turn of events. If it had been discovered during future battles, it could have led to significant injuries. I guess it's time to finish this. Taehyun thought. Taehyun recalled the two things he had aimed to achieve through this gate break. The first was the experience points gained from defeating monsters, which he had achieved by advancing to D rank. The second was absorbing the skills of monsters rampaging during the break. There were only a few notorious individuals, but this also meant that the skills they possessed were likely high tier. Obtaining the ring from the Malignant Guild, which could be sold at a high price after dealing with them, was an added bonus. I should give it a try soon, he thought. He hadn't planned on facing him solely with Stone Skin from the beginning. He just wanted to see how well he could hold his own against B-rank monsters with his physical strength alone. He had collected enough data. Then, Han Sang-do, using stealth again, vanished from his sight. Taehyun no longer had any regrets about melee combat. He activated the skill Predation. Chapter 8 Part 2 Ding. With a cheerful sound, a message appeared before him. Unique skill Predation has been activated. The target will be confirmed based on the user's perception. A bright light emanated from Taehyun's body. The dark mana settled beneath Han Sang-do, who had used stealth. Knowing that Predation also had a detection feature, Taehyun wasn't surprised. What is this? You can't possibly have multiple skills. Han Sang-do seemed bewildered by Taehyun's new skill. He tried to move the magic beneath his feet in various directions, attempting to detach it. But Taehyun had no intention of waiting. Please select the part to predation. As Baehyuksu had described, Han Sang-do's body was highlighted in red, indicating specific areas for predation. I should leave the ring, Taehyun thought, excluding the hand wearing the ring from the selected target. Target has been chosen. Predation begins. Crush. First, Han Sang-do's foot was engulfed. Then, his waist, chest, arms, and neck were flooded with the dark magic. Crush, crush, crush. Han Sang-do, now immobilized, screamed as he writhed on the ground. Taehyun watched his agony without a hint of pity. Unlike Baehyuksu, this guy had killed numerous civilians. He wasn't worth any unnecessary sympathy. Taehyun had confirmed through the monster that he could devour a person's body based on perception. There wouldn't be much of a difference considering he was a human. Crush, crush, crush. Han Sang-do's screams finally ceased after his head was swallowed whole. Predation completed. The skill has been deactivated. Thunk. In the place where predation had ended, only one arm, the one that had been holding the dagger, remained. Phew, persistent fellow, Taehyun muttered as he retrieved the skull ring from his hand and placed it in his pocket. A new skill has been registered. Good, he said, clenching his fist in anticipation as he waited for the message. He checked his status once more. Name, Kim Taehyun. Age, 19. Rank, D. Strength, 13 Stamina, 16 Speed, 15 Mana, 20 Fatigue, 71% Mana remaining, 5/20. Skills, Predation, 5%, can devour the desired target. Mana, 10 Stone Skin, D, can enhance the body. Mana, 3 Stealth, D, can hide the body. Mana, 5. Despite devouring a B-rank awakened individual, his experience points didn't increase significantly. Was it because my rank went up, or perhaps the target wasn't high-ranking to begin with? Taehyun pondered, unable to be certain as the mysteries remained unsolved. He felt that the skills were quite arbitrary in their workings. Nevertheless, he didn't feel disappointed, thanks to his newly acquired skill, Stealth. Fatigue has exceeded 70%. Predation skill cannot be used. Cooldown, 28 minutes and 49 seconds. Another change he noticed was the upgraded status window. The previously vague messages became more detailed. He had consumed a considerable amount of stamina while battling Han Sang-do, resulting in high fatigue levels. This should be enough. Everything he had aimed to achieve in this gate break had been accomplished. It was time to move to the location where Jae-young was. Just then, crash. Something flew towards Taehyun and crashed into him. It didn't take him long to realize that the object had been human just moments ago. Crap. This monster. Arg. My arm. Don't hold him back, just run. Screams echoed one after another. Taehyun cautiously peeked his head out from the crumbling building. GRK. Humans, hiding. The ogre's speaking. This guy's a half-ogre. We need to flee. We can't handle him. Taehyun tilted his head in confusion as he observed the scattered players. A half-ogre appeared too. An A-rank monster, a half-ogre, was an evolved form of a C-rank ogre, not just in strength but also in speed. With high intelligence, it was considered a top-tier threat among A-rank monsters. I'm sure there were no articles about half-ogres. Thud, thud, thud. In the meantime, another player collapsed, succumbing to death by folding over at the waist. It seemed imminent that the remaining two would meet the same fate. Should I lend a hand a bit? Coincidentally, the skill he needed in this situation had just become available. The moment Taehyun made up his mind, another player's skull shattered. Skill Stealth has been activated. The skill will last for 5 minutes. Silently, Taehyun's body blended into the surroundings, becoming one with the space. Asterisk 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 damn it. A B-rank player affiliated with the association, Jae-jun, couldn't hold back his curses. After narrowly surviving against the A-rank monster, Giant Ogre, he now faced an A-rank monster once again, the half-ogre. The giant ogre, whose barrier had been shattered, was currently being engaged by A-rank player An Hyun-soo. Thanks to that, Jae-jun focused on clearing out the monsters and villains scattered around, alongside the dispatched players. With these additional forces, he believed they could block the gate break within an hour. However, unexpectedly, a loud crash resonated. His erected barrier was easily broken, leaving Jae-jun swearing again. Despite being a B-rank awakened, he had managed to pass the challenging tests of the association. The weight of the 2 titles he held was not to be taken lightly. Another player from the association screamed in pain as his arm, which he had been guarding hastily, was shattered, and his skull crushed. It was a bitter death for a player recognized by the association as a B-rank. Damn it! The hostile gaze of the half-ogre turned toward Jae-jun. In the split second before impact, just as the monster's fist was about to reach his face. I'm going to die. Jae-jun gave up on everything. Whoosh. Blood sprayed from the half-ogre's shoulder, mere inches away from his face. The sudden injury made the half-ogre start to writhe in pain. Dazed, Jae-jun was no different. What's happening? At that moment, while the half-ogre and Jae-jun were both oblivious to the situation. Swish. Something sharp was thrust into the half-ogre's throat. The person who had been screaming in agony twisted their body backward. Jae-jun could clearly see it, a dagger stained with crimson blood.